Welcome back to some new malicious compliance stories, where people complied to the letter, but not the spirit of our request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Not Allowed to Explain. Years ago, I was the systems supervisor at a university-based group. It was a joint group, with the administration board and budget coming from university libraries around England and Wales. It was a cutting-edge network for each of the university's libraries, did their book dispensing and receipt, and also did the cataloging, which is quite complex. The catalog entry processing and various other batch processes ran automatically overnight, and the system had to be up and running for 8 AM when the libraries opened their doors. Before that could happen, the printouts from the overnight runs needed to be taken off the printer, and the stack of line print paper logs had to be gone through to ensure no failure occurred. Only then could the computer be rebooted into the online mode for the libraries. Checking the stack of line printed logs took about an hour, so my practice was to arrive an hour early for work and go through the printouts. Then I would restart the computer, and while that process was going on, would get a cup of coffee and sit down to read the news headlines and drink my coffee. Maybe a 10-minute break time. Enter my boss, who, for a university-educated manager of a university group, had the personality of a mid-19th century mill owner. Rude, arrogant, and entitled were just a few words to describe him. We have clashed a few times previous to this, but this was a real kicker. He came in and saw me reading a newspaper and drinking coffee at 8:05 AM. And, not letting me explain, he gave me a good talking to, and told me he didn't expect to see me doing this again. Next day I came to work at 8 AM on the dot. Then got the printout pile and started working through it. At the normal pace. No need to dawdle. The libraries were already getting frustrated before I even started the checking process. But they didn't call us, they called him at home. He rushes in at 8:30, demanding to know why the computer wasn't up and available for the libraries yet. I told him because the overnight logs need to be checked for failures first, and that takes almost an hour. He said, "We have been running on this machine for a year. Why has this not been a problem before?" I looked deadpan at him and replied, "Because until yesterday I had been giving the group an unpaid hour of my time to enable the computer to be available to the libraries at 8 AM. As my efforts were not only ignored but treated with such anger yesterday, I have started working to rule on this now. The computer will never be restarted to online mode until these printouts are checked, and that will not start till 8 AM. He said I can come in early myself and check them. I said, "Not if you don't want a countrywide universities workers strike. Unions can be useful in some circumstances." Sent off for the next 2 days, followed by the deputy coming in to see me and asking me to a meeting with a group board member, an age professor, who had come to get this fixed. The boss went away. Deputy, a much better person, got promoted. I got a promotion plus pay rise and asked to change my start time to 7 AM. The problem was solved and everybody was happy, including the board, who had their own problems with the now ex-boss and were pleased that I had given them a chance to remove him. The next story is called She Knows Best. I've been an apprentice at a small bookstore for the past 2 years now, and only recently passed my exam to make me a certified bookseller. Before that, due to a very toxic work environment, the only other full-time working employee whom I'm looked up to as a kind of a mentor quit barely 4 months after I started my apprenticeship. I've had to bend over backward ever since, trying to fill the holes that were created when she left. These past 2 years have been interesting, to say the least. The store itself is really cute. The only problem is it is drowning in old books people drop off all the time, and just too much stuff crammed into too little space altogether. This is resulting in chaos that makes it very hard to keep everything in check and not lose track of anything. I've learned to adapt and combat this chaos by keeping lists of basically everything, double checking to make sure everything is in order, etc. As for my ex-colleagues, I am on pretty good terms with most of them, except for one, my boss's girlfriend. In the beginning, I didn't get why my colleagues didn't like her very much. Now, 2 years later, she is the main reason I will be leaving this job at the end of September, because frankly, I am fed up. Due to the aforementioned chaos that plagues the store, I double check everything to avoid mistakes. This includes customer orders. Basically, we get the books, I find out who the book is for, and I call the customer to tell them their book is ready to be picked up by them. Sometimes people order more than one book, which is where things can get tricky, because not every order arrives at the same time due to an array of factors. Adding to this, we also order used books which have nothing to do with our computer system, which makes it extra prone to forgetting about something. Because this happens a lot with orders that included more than one book, I just like to take a quick glance at the computer system to make sure nothing is missed from the order before I call. In the past 2 years, I've made the experience that people tend to get annoyed after a while if you keep calling them about an incomplete order. Say you've ordered 5 books and only 4 arrive, with the next one probably arriving the day after. We'll wait until everything is complete, and then we call. A few weeks back, the girlfriends noticed I was doing this, and started to exclaim her dissatisfaction with the way I was handling the customer orders. She thinks doing this quick extra step costs me valuable time that could be spent elsewhere, and is all in all completely unnecessary. I thought that this was crazy, since she rarely ever does customer calls. I tried to tell her why I personally think this step takes away the risk of confusion and customers getting annoyed. She then proceeded to tell me, well, it doesn't matter what you think, this is our store. This set me off, because if I weren't there, the store wouldn't be running in the first place. They managed to get almost every other employee to quit with the work environment they've created the past 2 years, and I'm the only one who's in the store every day from 9 to 6. She also made it a point to tell me how she thinks it's rude that I always talk back and always have to have the last word. I took this pretty personally, and generally just want to bring good ideas in and make the workflow as smooth as possible. If someone comes along with a point like this, I feel like I have to make them see my point of view. Anyways, since I won't be in the store much longer and I don't care anymore, I've decided to do just as she told me. Say you've ordered 5 books from us to arrive on the first day, and you get a call from us. You ask, really? All 5 books are there already? And I say, oh no, sorry, only 2 arrived today. Then the next day, another 2 arrive. You receive another call from us. Surely we are calling because everything is ready to go now. Wrong. You see how this might get annoying after a while? I just stopped double checking, and everything just kinda went downhill from there. It would have gotten to this point sooner or later anyways, since I will be gone by the end of September. It just gives me that little bit of personal satisfaction after 2 years of this insanity. The last story is called Lazy Replacements. I used to be in charge of the printer room in a rather large company. We shipped a ton of products every day, and everything shipped had to have the accompanying documents. Nothing can even be loaded onto the trucks without this paperwork. This was in the olden days of the 90s, so we had 7 massive 4-foot tall dot matrix printers that did all the work. These printers were temperamental, and if the paper jammed, the printer did not automatically stop printing. It would just keep pushing and jamming more and more paper into the machine, until, if left untended, it would break down. Running the printer room was a 2-person job. When I started, I trained for 2 full weeks with the 2 current printer room employees. One was being promoted, I was replacing him. It was a rough 2 weeks with the various things you had to learn, do, etc. One thing that made it even more complicated was the fact that each printer had its own personality with its own problems. Another was the fact that a problem in one printer could have a different fix than the exact same problem in another. The job would be quiet for 45 minutes straight, during which we did routine maintenance and such, but was really slow and quiet and restful. This was because this company processed its shipping orders in batches, once an hour. And then, on the hour, every hour, the batch of orders would go through, and thousands of orders would come spitting out. If you were on top of things and kept everything running smoothly, the orders would print out very neatly and quickly. But if you didn't know what you were doing, if you didn't maintain things just right, you'd get a backup and things would go bad very fast. And when one machine went down, you had to fix it fast, before the next one jammed. Because guaranteed, those machines would jam up multiple times on every batch print job. I've been working the print room for several months, and things were great. Then my coworker gave his 2-week notice. We tried to train his replacement, but he was incredibly lazy and got fired fairly a few days after the end of his training. which left me in the printer room alone. Then the bosses inform me that my position is being phased out and I'm going to be replaced by 2 employees transferred from a different department. So not only am I losing my job, but I have to train my replacements. And I desperately needed a good recommendation from this company, so I couldn't just quit. I quickly learned that both of these transfers are lazy and useless. They'd been with the company for decades, had friends in the head office and knew their jobs were safe. I'd show them how to do something, and they'd flat out laugh and say, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." Every day I'd be trying to train them, and they would ignore me, chat with each other and leave to go sit in the cafeteria, leaving me to do a 2-person job alone. Luckily I was good enough to handle the workload, but it was annoying. Mindful of the fact that I needed a reference from this company, I kept extensive notes on each day's progress. I clearly documented every single instance of the replacements refusing to learn or even listen to my instructions. I also followed up daily with my direct supervisor, and he knew what was going on. And my notes went into the company files and were passed up the line. Despite my scathing reports, head office did nothing. Now it's my last day. This is the day the training process is assigned for letting the newbies work alone, with no help or supervision allowed, to see how well they handle the job and the pressure. I was, in writing, forbidden to help them or answer any questions. As I expected, things fell apart pretty much immediately. Minutes into the first batch of orders, one of the biggest printers jammed, and the clueless jerks had no idea how to fix the printer jam, because they ignored me every time I tried to show them how. So they turned to me and demand that I fix things. I'm sitting on a desk, coffee in one hand, an apple in the other, and smile and say, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." One of them is yelling at me, while the other is basically thumping uselessly on the printer, like a gorilla that just found a candy machine. Then a second printer jams. Paper starts spilling out the back of the first printer, which, if you knew the job, was a really bad warning sign. Well, I'm going to go to the cafeteria. Good luck, I say as I stand up. As I'm leaving, I hear a third printer crunch and jam up. I went to my supervisor and let him know what was happening. He said he not only expected as much, he had predicted so repeatedly to his superiors. He once again specifically forbade me from offering any help. So I went to the cafeteria and read my book for a little over an hour. Then my supervisor comes to me to let me know what happened. The entire printer room is down, and every single printer is either jammed up or actually broken. The company is losing thousands of dollars every single minute. One of the receiving supervisors finds me, all in a panic, begging me to get the orders printed. "Sorry, I'm not allowed to do that," I replied. Now several people are running around outside the cafeteria, all in a panic, running from place to place to figure out why they don't have any shipping orders. The chaos took hours to resolve, and I wasn't allowed to fix the problems. Anytime someone started giving me a hard time, my supervisor would intervene and show the memo from the bosses stating that I was forbidden to help in the printer room that day. I spent my entire last day at work drinking coffee, chatting with coworkers and reading my book. The whole fiasco ended up costing the company tens of thousands of dollars. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. And now, I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.